take on the flower kind of piece. And I look at perennials are things that are perennial and permanent. They come back year after year. Annuals, we got a mixture of both here, are things that live for a year, then they die in the winter, typically. So my pansies, I pulled them out. I could not. Once it gets above 80, 85, they want to die. I don't care where you got them, they just want to die. They're a winter plant. They don't like summer. So I'm starting to pull those things out and switch them with some of the things, Eric, I'm going to steal your thunder, but some of the things that Eric's going to talk about. But now's the time to transition from spring blooming things to summer, because some things love the heat and some things despise heat. They're kind of like people. I don't like spring. I don't like to shiver. I'm a lizard. I'm going to crawl up on a rock and warm up in the sun. That's me. There are some plants that are like that. My wife, if it's above like 65, she's miserable. She likes it cold. She just likes it chilly. So that's the difference. Plants are the same way, just like people. With that, give it up for Eric Anderson. There you go.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Ken. So yeah, this should be a really fun class. We're going over the top 10 flowering plants that just love the summer heat. You're probably looking at this and saying there's a lot more than 10 plants up here. Don't worry, I can count at least up till 10. And reason being, there's a lot of kind of duplicates or different colors or different varieties of the same plant, but everything you see up here loves the heat. So just kind of an overview, we're going to start off with annuals. Those are, as Ken was saying, those are the plants that they come up, they'll bloom all summer long, they look fantastic, and then when we start cooling off, so do they, and they kind of go away. This whole upper greenhouse here with we've got all the veggies as well. But this is where you'll find all the annuals. So we'll start with that. Then we'll move into perennials. Those are the plants you'll find down in the lower greenhouse. Those are plants that a lot of them will kind of die off throughout the winter. And then next spring, they'll perk right back up and keep doing their thing. And then finally, we'll kind of move into a couple shrubs that just love the summer heat. So,
Eric, can I pass this around
yes,
real quick? So I've got 3 things for you. One is the favorite flowers of hummingbirds and butterflies, kind of pertains. I've got next week's garden column, or is it 2 weeks out? I wrote a column on the 10 flower trends you're finding right now. Your styles. What are the 10 styles? But it's in that early release, so you can see it first. There's one over discovering summer's most vibrant, low maintenance shrubs. Those 3 things will come to you. I've already got the template set up. It's going out Monday morning, first thing. So look for it. If you want those, put your email down, and it'll be there to you Monday morning. Okay. So here you go. With that, go for it.
awesome. All right. Well, we will start right off with some really cool annuals. So first up, I want to talk about mandavillas. We carry these in all different colors. We've got white ones, these kind of purple, reds, yellows. They're fantastic plants. These absolutely love the heat. You'll find them down in Phoenix, Tucson, and even up here, they'll do just fine. It's a kind of a small trailing plant. So like this guy here, you'll only get about 2.5, 3 feet tall. These are awesome for containers, kind of sprucing up to add some height behind stuff, or you can sort of trail them up a chain link fence or through a window box, something like that. Just wonderful plants. You can expect these to pretty much bloom now up until we start cooling off. That's usually around, September, maybe even up into October. And then they kind of go away. This one is an annual, but you know, there's folks, if you bring them inside, you can probably get them to go again next year as well. So awesome plant, plenty of different colors. You'll find all these up here in this the greenhouse that we're in right now. So moving on, one of my personal favorites is lantana. Now, this is another one that you'll see all over the valley, Phoenix, Tucson. If you're from California, especially Southern California, you're familiar with lantana. These are fantastic plants. Both of these varieties up here are annual varieties. So it's kind of the one and done. You know, it'll be gorgeous flowers all the way up until we cool off in the winter, and then they'll die off. We do, however, also have lantana in perennial varieties that you'll find down in the lower greenhouse. The two main perennial varieties that we carry here are called Miss Huff and Casablanca. Both of those will they'll kind of die off throughout the winter, but they should perk right back up in the springtime, and again, they'll bloom all summer long. So just fantastic plants. These two are relatively small. You're looking about 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide, maybe a little bit smaller for some of them. And again, there are plenty of different colors. So really neat plant. Huge fan of the lantanas. So, moving on into another really neat little perennial that these guys annual. These love the sun. This one is called Penta, and it's a real neat flower. Each one of these little clusters has a tiny little, oh, there we go, has a tiny little flower with 5 prongs on it, hence the name Penta. So these guys will get about a foot tall, foot wide. They are awesome in pots, containers, just to kind of fill in or add, or you can plant them by themselves. But they love the sun, they love the heat. It's a real pretty plant. We've got pinks, purples, whites, reds, plenty of different colors, and you'll find those kind of right back this way over here. So that's another one of my favorites. And geranium, I'm sure everyone here is probably familiar with geranium. Everyone's grown a geranium at some point. We have hanging baskets of these. We've got all sorts of varieties. There's hanging baskets like this. We've got trailing geraniums, ones that kind of cascade. Those are fantastic for pots, containers. There's scented geraniums, citronella geraniums. Those are ones that are real good for keeping some of the mosquitoes or the bugs that you don't want flying around. It acts real good as kind of a natural repellent. Again, this one is an annual. We're still kind of in the annual section, but kind of a fun fact with geraniums, my brother and I we share one huge geranium basket. We've had it for, probably 4 or 5 years now. He lives down in Phoenix. During the winters, he keeps the geranium down there. During the summers, I take the geranium up here, and it just keeps going. So they are absolutely fantastic plants. They'll bloom pretty much all season long, all sorts of different colors, and it just adds quite a bit to any garden or landscape. So awesome plants. So, kind of finishing up with the annuals. This is portulaca. It kind of a funny plant because it's very succulent-like, kind of those big, thick, broad leaves, but it loves the sun. This one will flower pretty much springtime, all the way up until, or kind of late spring, early summer, all the way up until the first frost, usually September, October-ish. Absolutely love the heat. It's a very, very hardy plant. So, and we've got a couple different varieties of these. We've got these beautiful hanging baskets. You can get one now, put it up on your porch or out in full sun. It'll do just fine. We've even got little 1 gallons like this guy here that you can put into a planter box or container if you're looking for something to kind of spill over, trail down a side. Just wonderful plants, gorgeous colors, and they pretty much keep blooming all season long. Quick question?
Full sun, I guess, on most of it, but
yes. Yeah, good question. So he was asking, for those of you who didn't hear, so these are pretty much all full sun plants. He was asking if they'll take some partial sun or some shade. To answer that, the majority of these will do just fine in some partial sun. You may notice that they aren't blooming quite as prolifically, or they may not be quite as happy. All the plants you see up here, they're pretty much full sun, and going off that, we usually say about 6 hours of sun per day is what we consider being full sun up here in northern Arizona. So yeah, they'll grow just fine, just might not flower quite as much. So, and when I say 6 hours is considered full sun, I mean, it's that's kind of the minimum. That's the lowest that we go. You can go pretty much anywhere up from there. So yeah, portulaca, awesome plant. So with that, kind of covered some of my my favorite annuals that I wanted to talk about. Now we get to move into perennials. Again, these are the plants that they die off throughout the winter. They'll come back year after year. This is a real pretty one. It looks very similar to marigold, but it's a different plant. This one is called Coreopsis. You may also know it as tick seed. You'll find all these down in the lower greenhouse. We've got, they're primarily yellow. There's a couple different colorways or color patterns, but this was my favorite, so I wanted to bring this one up to show you. These will get about 1 foot tall by about 1 foot wide, so it stays relatively small, but these are fantastic. You know, if you're just looking to add some bright color into an area that doesn't have all that much color in say a native landscape up here. And they also, it's a real pretty one to make little bouquets with. You can just trim off some of these and put them in a cup or give them to your wife. They're fantastic plants. So, and these guys will bloom pretty much all summer long up until we start cooling off in the winter. This is Coreopsis. Yes, also known as tick seed. So, from there, we're moving into probably one of the most popular plants. This is Salvia, also known as autumn sage. We've got reds, we've got this kind of pink or salmon color. They come in all sorts of different colors. These are both perennial varieties. You'll also find some annual varieties of salvia. But these are just wonderful plants. They absolutely adore the sun. Growing up, my mom always had a couple of these kind of going towards the front entryway of the house. They will bloom all summer long. It's just a wonderful plant. They'll get about 2 to 3 feet tall and wide and kind of stay there. So it's a little bit larger, but it's never going to overpower a landscape or anything like that. And I'll show the camera. It's this one here. So yeah, the salvia is another great plant for attracting hummingbirds, butterflies, all the pollinators. They tend to flock towards this, the bright colors. You know, when I was grabbing most of these plants, I feel bad because you're pulling the plant away and the bees are trying to follow you. So
When the flowers are done, can I go and deadhead it, or should I wait to?
Yeah, good question. For anyone who didn't hear, he asked if once the flowers are spent or done blooming on this, if you should go ahead and deadhead or wait till the fall. With the salvia, you can just go ahead and pinch off the spent blooms. It's very easy, and you know, it's one of the cleaner plants. A lot of times they'll just kind of drop the blooms after they're spent. So yeah, low maintenance, very good desert plant. Yeah, so she asked how far you trim back in the fall. With these, if you want to trim back, you absolutely can. If you're going to do major trimming, a lot of times we recommend waiting till kind of late February, early March. That's the sweet spot in the weather here, right before the plants start to wake up in the springtime. If you trim them back then, they're usually happiest. Yeah, so she asked if you can put these in pots. Absolutely. They are wonderful in pots, or you can plant them right into the ground. They look real good in native landscapes, or if you're kind of going for the xeriscape. They still need water, but it's definitely a lot more drought tolerant. So that's the salvias. From there, we're moving into a actual Arizona native. This is yarrow. The Latin name for it is Achillea, just like Achilles. Kind of a fun backstory that I figured out when I was doing some research for this class is the name is derived from Greek mythology. And the story is that there was a centaur who told Achilles about the medicinal healing properties of yarrow, this plant here. And so that's how we get the name Achillea, or yarrow, as it's commonly known. This is a really, really good plant. As I mentioned, it's an Arizona native. Fantastic, you know, if you've got a lot of rock or cacti, it tends to play real well. We've got ones that are just straight yellow. We've got some kind of orangey ones like this guy here. I believe they also have some red varieties. All these you'll find down in the lower greenhouse. And as I mentioned, this has really good medicinal properties. It's primarily used to help reduce inflammation and heal wounds. So awesome plant, Arizona native, fantastic. And the pollinators love these. You'll find bees, butterflies, hummingbirds. You'll find them all just hanging out around these yarrows down in the lower greenhouse.
Are any of these deer resistant?
Yeah, a good question, actually. So he asked if any of these are deer resistant. I'm probably holding the most deer resistant one of the bunch right now. Yarrow is an awesome plant. Very, very few critters ever go after these. It's a little bit herbaceous, so it's just wonderful for a landscape, especially if you do have a lot of deer, javelina, rabbits coming through. They almost always tend to stay away from these. So moving on with another kind of Arizona native plant. This one is lavender. I'm sure everyone knows lavender. You've had all sorts of perfumes and just about anything is lavender. This variety is, let's see, this one is called the Goodwin Creek Gray Lavender. This is a real nice shrub. It'll get about 4 feet tall, 4 feet wide. It's not completely compact, but you still have some nice height. You can see it's just getting ready to flower, and these will flower kind of spring through summer. As I mentioned, lavender is an Arizona native. This specific variety is not, but it's a very, very drought tolerant plant, kind of more one of those set it and forget it. But that being said, you still have to give it plenty of water, especially first year when it's in the ground. You know, today's a 90-degree day. It's pretty warm, and the plants are going to need some extra water. So yeah, lavender is fantastic. We've got quite a few different varieties of lavender, and you will find those all in the herb section just right out this way in the lower greenhouse. So now another fun one. This is honeysuckle. Everyone's probably familiar with honeysuckle. They love the heat. They thrive in, I mean, up here you can grow full sun, you can do part shade. But again, you know, as long as it's getting about 6 hours of sun or more, you'll get full blooms. There's quite a few different varieties. This is the gold flame. So it's got some gold purpley flowers, just fantastic. These are, I see them most commonly used. You can kind of put a couple along a chain link fence if you want some privacy from neighbors. They fill in real nice. It's a very, very prolific grower. Each plant will spread about 15 feet. So you can also grow it up a trellis or an arbor. You know, if you have a little secret garden that you're trying to hide the entryway for, you can always use it for that. Just a wonderful plant. And this is a big hit with the hummingbirds. Hummingbirds love kind of the trumpet-shaped flowers, just like what you see going on down here. Bring it up for the camera as well. So, and yeah, it kind of allows the hummingbirds to get their beaks right in there and get all the nectar from them. Fantastic plants. This one is it's perennial. It comes back year after year, but this one will lose its foliage in the winter. We do have another variety of honeysuckle called the Hall's Japanese honeysuckle. That one actually stays evergreen or semi-evergreen up here in Prescott. That's probably the most common one that you see around town. It's got white and yellow flowers on it. So yeah, honeysuckles are fantastic. They love the heat. They can take some shade as well too if you need. So now this guy here is called the Hollywood hibiscus. We've been pushing hibiscus quite a lot this spring. We just had a pre-order for specific varieties of hibiscus. Fantastic plants. These are the plants that you get the big, huge flowers. We're talking, the size of a saucer. Just wonderful. This is called the Hot Shot. So it's got red flowers. We've got all sorts of different colors. We've got some yellows. I believe we kind of have some pinks, some purples. Fantastic plant. It loves the sun. It's got these kind of waxy leaves. Waxy leaves, as a general rule, are really good for kind of hotter, drier climates because they help retain the moisture. This one, or as a general rule, most of the hibiscus up here is actually an annual, to where it will die off in the winter. You can, however, if you have it in a pot, you can roll it into a garage or somewhere that stays a little bit warmer, and it should be good to go again next year. So beautiful plant, quite a good selection of them in stock currently. And you'll find most of these kind of under our shade section, but don't let the shade fool you. The shade is here for us, not the plants. The plants can take the full sun. So moving on to another real popular one. This is butterfly bush. You'll see these all over town, a very common plant for really good reason. Both of these varieties stay relatively small, but you'll find butterfly bush, even here, you'll find all different sizes and shapes. We have some that'll get 6 feet, 8 feet tall and wide. Both of these, as I variety gets about 2 feet tall, maybe by about 2.5 feet wide. So it stays relatively compact. They're, as the name implies, they are fantastic for pollinators. Moving this one yesterday, again, I felt bad because all the bees were trying to follow me up. Absolutely wonderful plant. They bloom pretty much all summer long. And because it's a dwarf or a compact plant, you can do these in containers as well. You can put them up on a porch or just about anywhere with these. This little guy down here, this is even more compact. This guy only gets about 1 foot tall and 1 foot wide. So if you're kind of short on space or you're just looking for something to fill in with a bit of color, these true dwarf butterfly bushes are fantastic. Really good plants. They love the heat. They love the sun. And, again, they can still take a bit of shade if you need. So both of these are awesome plants. You'll find them kind of all over. And as I mentioned, we've got larger ones. These are on the smaller size. So, quick question? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she was asking when the best time to trim these back is. And again, we usually tend to wait till late February, early March. It's kind of the sweet spot here right before the plants start waking up for the springtime. If you trim it back then, you still have the rest of the plant throughout the winter to kind of help insulate the rootstock. We usually find that's the best time to trim. However, you can absolutely deadhead just about any time of year. Once the blooms are spent, you just come in with some sharp clippers, trim it off, and it'll, by deadheading, you're helping the plant produce more flowers. In February or March, you really, I'd say, 1 foot or 2 above the soil because you have the large varieties. So.
Just going to ask about deer and javelina resistance.
For the most part, they tend to stay away from it. It's a great plant to attract pollinators, but not all that many things go after it. Deer may start nibbling on it, especially this season, because we had such a warm, such a dry winter that a lot of the foliage that usually comes out in the woods hasn't come out this season. So that's why we're seeing a lot more critters. They're hungry because the food that they usually go for isn't there. So especially this season, we've been seeing a lot more folks have issues with the animals. So yeah, butterfly bush, awesome plant. So wouldn't be a flower class without showing a rose bush. So I wanted to grab this one. This is called a nitty gritty pink rose. This is fantastic. It's a smaller variety of rose. This guy here only gets about 3 feet tall, and it'll spread out about 4 feet wide. It'll do great in a container if it's a large container, or you can plant it right in the ground and it should take off. Wonderful plant. It will bloom. I'm sure just about everyone's here is familiar with roses. These guys bloom spring, summer, up into the fall. Just wonderful plants. I chose this one here because absolutely gorgeous buds, and it puts off so many. It's a really, really pretty flower. So, and we've got a great selection of other roses. If this one doesn't do it for you, or you want something other than pink, we've probably got 20, 30, maybe 50 different varieties of roses. And you'll find all those kind of right out this the door that you guys came in. So on a side note, I also noticed that this one has a lot fewer thorns. It's not completely thornless, but a lot fewer thorns than your traditional rose, which as a gardener is awesome because I don't want to put on leather gloves every time I go to trim or deadhead or work on a rose. It's just fantastic. So, and you can see it's got plenty of little blooms. It just keeps blooming all summer long, and it loves the sun. It's a true full sun plant. Question?
If it's in a container,
Yes.
will it last over the winter, or do you need to bring it in?
Yeah, good question. So she asked if you have this in a container or pot, will it last over the winter, or do you have to bring it in, like say maybe the mandavillas? And to answer that, this is a very cold hardy plant. It'll do just fine outside all winter long. It is deciduous, so it'll start to die back. And then springtime, kind of that late February, early March, that's when, if you want to, you can go through, kind of cut it back. I've got a couple roses at my house. I usually trim it about 2 feet up from the ground. And gosh, the one I trimmed right outside my bedroom window, trimmed it back about this tall. And now it's probably about this tall. So quite a few different varieties of roses. Again, this is a smaller one, being about 3 feet tall by 4 feet wide. And asking about cold hardiness, if you look at the tag, it'll tell you the USDA zone, or what the plant is hardy as far as temperature that it goes down to. This here is a zone 4. So that means that this plant will be happy. It'll come back year after year, even in a climate that gets down to about -30 degrees in the winter. So very cold hardy. Our winters here, if we ever get to -30 degrees here in Prescott, there's other issues going on. So yes. Yeah, good question. So he asked what the zone here in Prescott is. If you're in Prescott, we're on average kind of right around a 7B. The A and so zones go by number. Each number represents a 10-degree increment, and the lower the number, the colder it is. And then the A and the B are 5-degree increments within that 10 degrees. So Prescott here at the Garden Center, we're pretty much a 7B. Meaning that usually our coldest winters get down to around 10 degrees. Every now and then we'll see a little bit of fluctuation in that. I remember seeing 0 once a couple years back. If you're Prescott Valley or Chino, you may be a little bit warmer, probably around an 8. But all the plants that we sell here will grow just fine. You know, keep in mind there's some will be annuals versus some will be perennials. So. Now, the last one that I really wanted to talk about, this guy is awesome. These are crepe myrtles. I'm sure most folks are familiar with crepe myrtles, and a lot of folks that I talk to here are surprised that you can grow crepe myrtles because, you know, you at least in my experience, usually you expect to see crepe myrtles in Texas, Louisiana. I mean, they've got the big, huge trees and all sorts of shrubs, but you can grow crepe myrtle just fine here. We've got quite a few different varieties. This one here is called the Like a Latte, like the coffee. And this one is a much smaller variety. This guy is just about full grown. He only gets about 2.5 feet, 2.5 to 3 feet tall and wide. But we also have some that get 10 feet tall, 12 feet tall. So you can still grow a fantastic crepe myrtle up here in Prescott or this Tri-City area. These bloom pretty much all season long. They absolutely love the heat. So usually we don't see much going on with them until around May. That's when they start to leaf out. And then from there, they start flowering, and they will flower all the way up until we start cooling off, usually around September, October. So absolutely fantastic plant. We do have a very good selection of these in stock right now. We're also going to have a pre-order that started a couple days ago. You can find that on our website, or we have a couple signs around the garden center. All you do is you can scan it right with your phone, or just go to the website, and you can pre-order a couple different specific varieties if you're looking for something other than what you see here in stock currently. Just wonderful plants. So, and this one, you know, as I was saying earlier, most crepe myrtles you kind of associate with real hot climates, Texas, Louisiana, in the South. This variety specifically is a very cold tolerant variety. In fact, in doing some research, I watched a video of a gentleman up in Ontario, Canada, who is growing these. It will go down to a zone 5, which again, we're a 7 here. So our cold winter should not touch this plant at all. It'll come back year after year and just keep growing. So absolutely gorgeous plants. So, and it's starting to bloom. If you check back in another week or two, this whole plant is going to be alive with these white blooms. We've got white ones, we've got pink ones, we've got red ones, purple. There's a huge selection of different colors.
On the cold tolerance on this, is that typical of all crepe myrtle?
Yeah, good question. So he asked if the cold tolerance on this plant is typical with the majority of other crepe myrtles that you find. And to answer that is no. This one is definitely a bit more cold tolerant than other varieties. All the ones that we sell here will grow just fine. They'll thrive up here in Prescott. But there are some varieties of other crepe myrtles that won't do as well here throughout the winter. Some that are kind of right on the verge of wintering over here or not. But this one specifically is a real good one. So if you're driving around, you'll see a lot of crepe myrtles in Sedona as well. It's a very popular plant up there, especially if you're going out Oak Creek Canyon towards Slide Rock. If you go August, you'll see some just beautiful pink. It looks like the whole tree is pink. And that's a crepe myrtle. So fantastic plants. So
Is that varietal available in different colors?
there's quite a few different varieties. This one specifically, the Like a Latte version, is just this dark foliage with the white flowers. But we've got quite a few other varieties that do stay relatively small as well. And we've also got some larger ones. So plenty of options as far as the crepe myrtles. So, and they love the heat. You know, even though this one is a little bit more cold tolerant, it'll do just fine all summer long in full sun. So perfect. Well, that kind of concludes the plant portion. Now I just want to talk about some products and kind of go over how to keep a lot of these plants happy throughout the summer and throughout the season. So to start off, for anything that you plant in containers, we always recommend potting soil. Potting soil is containers, whether it's pots like this one down here or raised beds. Potting soil is going to be your best friend. This one specifically, our house brand, Ken Lane, the owner, has designed this for Prescott area exactly. It's got a lot more peat moss in it than you find in the majority of other potting soils. It's designed to help retain moisture in containers during those hot 90, 95 degree summer days. It's a real good one. It also has a very basic 555 slow release fertilizer in it, which is designed to kind of help those, when you first put a new plant in, it's designed to kind of help it along, sort of perk it up. So highly recommend doing this for anything that you put in containers. So now, if you're planting into the ground, say maybe like that crepe myrtle or a butterfly bush or salvia, if you're putting anything just into the ground, mulch. We always recommend using mulch. Our mulch specifically is designed to mix 1 part of this to 2 parts of the native soil. Easiest way to do it, I find, when once I have my hole dug, I've got the plastic pot off of the plant and I'm ready to start filling. I just do a shovelful of this, 2 shovelfuls of the dirt that came out of the hole. That's how you get that 2-to-1 ratio. So, and it's a soil amendment. So it's just designed to help kind of amend the native soil here, because if anyone in with the hole when you plant goes a long ways to kind of help get the plants rooted out sooner and establish quicker. So those are the 2 soils. Now, food. We always recommend fertilizing. This here is our 744 all-purpose fertilizer. As the name implies, all-purpose. You can use this for trees. You can use it for shrubs. You can use it for flowers. You can use it for a lawn. If it's in your yard and if it's growing and it's green, give it some of this and it should grow even better and be a bit greener. It's a really good fertilizer. This one is formulated specifically for Prescott, for our area. Our soil here and our water is very alkaline, which most plants prefer to be a little bit more on the acidic side. And so we've formulated this to kind of help amend the pH level. So this will bring down the pH number. Just using it regularly should get the soil, or whether it's in pots or just planted in the ground, it should really help bring your soil down to a much more hospitable place for any of your plants as far as the pH goes. So really good stuff. It's a slow release granular. So all you have to do is spread a little bit of this around the base of your plant. And as you water, as we get precipitation, it'll break down over the course of about 3 months. So we recommend using this 4 times a year. To make it easy, we say 4th of July, which is right around the corner, Halloween, Christmas or New Year's, and then Easter. So you kind of got 4 big holidays. But as long as you're doing it about once every 3 months, you should really notice all your plants are a bit healthier, a bit happier. I like to tell folks that this is kind of like the steak and potatoes of your plant's diet. So it's really good stuff. So now when you first start planting, root and grow. This is designed to help, just to help get the plant started. If you put well, any of these plants, if you were to put any of these plants in the ground right now, it's going to be a 90-degree day. It's going to be stressful for the plants. This is designed to help reduce that transplant shock, help get the plants rooted out a bit quicker, and just promote growth. It's really good stuff. It's liquid gold for plants. I use it anytime I plant something new, or heat of the summer like now. If I have some plants that are getting stressed out, I'll go ahead and give it some of this, and it goes a long ways to kind of help perk them back up or get them more acclimated to their new area.
Can that be for containers as well?
Yeah, good question. So she asked if you can use this for containers. Absolutely. I use it for all my potted flowers. I use it for my trees. I even use this for my houseplants sometimes. It's really good stuff. Highly recommend it. It's all organic, and if you look at the number, it's a 2-2-1. Most folks have seen fertilizers usually, or they're almost always 3 numbers. Those numbers correspond to nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. Each one kind of has its own reason for being there in the fertilizer. But this being a 2-2-1, it's a very minimal one. It's not going to burn. It's hard to overdo it with this. You just mix it with water it into your plants whenever you first plant. And then I usually recommend doing it every 2 weeks after that first planting, until you see the plants really start to perk up or kind of come into their own. So really good stuff for anything that you ever plant. We use it for just about everything here. So now it is a flower class. So of course I have to talk about our flower power. This stuff is fantastic. It's a kind of a powder. I don't know if you can hear it sliding around in here, but it's got a little scoop in here. All you do, 1 scoop of this in with a gallon of water, and water anything that flowers goes a long ways to help produce more flowers. It's kind of like almost a steroid shot. It's really, really good stuff. In fact, I was telling a gentleman earlier this morning, I've still got a couple pansies going. And they're still going because of this flower power. Of course, they're moved into the shade, but you can give this to anything that flowers and it will flower more. Some folks use it for tomatoes because with tomatoes, the more flowers you get on a tomato plant, the more tomatoes you get. So it can go a long ways to help just help with production, whether it's flowers or fruit. Really good stuff. And as I was mentioning with this 221, the root and grow, it's real low numbers being 221. If you look at this, it's a 1248.8. Really, really high number. That 48, that middle number is phosphorus, and that's what helps build flowers. So this is fantastic stuff. It's designed for this area. You can use it in pots. You can use it on anything in the ground. If it flowers, give it some of this, and it'll flower more. Yes.
Like, let's say if you had a crepe myrtle, like in a pot,
Mm-hmm.
how would you use the flower powder in conjunction with the olive? You not use both, or would you just like favor one product?
Yeah, good question. So she asked if you have a crepe myrtle or a flowering shrub in a pot. If you still want to use the 744, the all-purpose, kind of the steak and potatoes in conjunction with the flower power. And you absolutely can. I usually recommend kind of waiting in between so you aren't just over-fertilizing or giving it a ton of fertilizer right at once, because that can lead to burning or other issues. What I would do in a situation like that is hit it with the flower power, or the 744 all-purpose. Again, that's kind of the steak and potatoes. Do that, still, stick to the schedule 4 times a year. And then as if the crepe myrtle is going through a bit of stress, or if you have neighbors coming over next week, or folks up in town, you want the maximum production of flowers, you can give it some of this. It will help it just help push some more blooms. So with this, it's just like the root and grow. We recommend doing it once every 2 weeks throughout the season. So, and you can use this hanging baskets, shrubs in the ground. If it flowers, this will help. Really good stuff. So, and getting close to wrapping up, but I should have just enough time to finish up. I wanted to talk about Aqua Boost crystals too. These are all sun-loving plants. They love the sun. There's some, mandevilla. That plant, it will get quite thirsty. In fact, majority of these will, just being that it's still Arizona. We're hot, we're dry, and quite windy. That goes a long ways to kind of suck moisture out of soil. That's why we came up with Aqua Boost crystals. This is a polymer that can hold 200 times its weight in water. And how you use it is if you have, you can use it for tomatoes or just about anything. When you go to plant, just sprinkle a tiny little bit of this down in the soil by the roots, and then go ahead and plant whatever you're going to. And as you water, this will pick up the moisture and it will hold on to that. It works fantastic in containers, especially if you have dark containers. If you have dark blues or greens or black containers, with the sun raging on it, they have a tendency of just kind of cook real good stuff to help just help keep that moisture where you need it, down at the roots. And again, little bit goes a long ways with this. If you're doing a 1 gallon plant, like say this Penta right here, all you need to do is 1 tablespoon of this product, mix it down in the soil right by where the roots are going to be. This will drastically help reduce how often you need to water. So really good stuff. So that pretty much covers it. I will quickly touch on insecticides because we're still seeing quite a few insect issues. As a general rule, if something's eating your plant and you don't know what it is, Sayonara is going to be your go-to. This will take care of just about anything, whether it's aphids, thrip, some of the larger insects, blister beetle. This stuff is fantastic. You hook it right up to the end of your hose. All you have to do, open it up, and it automatically mixes at the correct ratio. Now, a nice thing that I like about this one too with the hose attachment is as long as you have pretty good water pressure, you'll be able to spray trees. You can get quite a bit of coverage just out of this bottle. It's about as easy as it comes. So, so it is vegetable safe. It's not an organic product, but if you look back here, if you read through it, it will tell you which vegetables you can use it on and how many days before you. I believe with tomatoes, it's safe to use up until about 2 weeks before harvest, but it goes over all the plants individually in the information packet right on the back. If you are looking for something more vegetable safe or organic, spinosad soap. This is really good stuff. This will take care of thrip, aphids. We've been seeing a whole bunch of those this season. This is going to be your best bet for killing those and keeping them at bay. So highly recommend spinosad soap for anything that you'll be consuming. You know, if you want to stay organic, this is a really good one. So, all right. Well, that concludes it. I've covered everything I wanted to. I'll open it up for questions now.
One last one.
Yes.
Thinking about the planting side of things, what role does gypsum play? Added?
Yeah, a great question. So he's asking what role gypsum plays when you're planting something. What we mostly use it here for is breaking up clay or that caliche with the clay and the decomposed granite. It's not the end all be all, but we always recommend checking for drainage before you, say, plant a evergreen tree or something like that. Easiest way to check for drainage is you dig your hole, you're ready to put your plant in it, go out in the morning with the garden hose, fill it all the way up with water, come back in the evening, you want all that water to be drained out of the hole. If you kind of have a clay pocket and you just dug yourself a pond or a bathtub. So what gypsum does is it basically helps to break up that clay. It's not the end-all be-all product, but it goes a long ways to mitigate drainage issues.
So should you just use it as a matter of course or not? Or?
So I do recommend always checking for drainage before you plant, but considering that we're here in Arizona, gypsum is not going to hurt anything. It's only going to kind of help amend the soil, get it a little bit more hospitable for planting.
Small container, the one behind you.
Oh.
No, the little.
Oh, Aqua Boost.
You mentioned you used that prior to planting.
Correct.
So you never added to the soil after the fact?
Yeah, good question. So he was asking about the Aqua Boost because I mentioned you put this inside the soil before you plant. You can also do this retroactively. It is best to get it down by the roots. If you are doing it after you already have some stuff in the ground, or whether it's raised beds for vegetables, anything like that, you can always kind of go in and dig. Try not to disturb the roots too much, but just sprinkle some of this down in the soil, and it will still do the same thing. It'll still help out. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I just came from Palm Springs. My sister was climbing a vine or something. She called it the Tacoma. Are you familiar with the Tacoma?
I am not personally familiar with the Tacoma.
It's bright yellow.
Gotcha. Yeah. So we do have trumpet vine. We carry a big selection of those. I'm not familiar specifically with a plant called Tacoma. It may be a variety of trumpet vine or one of the other climbing plants. So, One other quick thing that I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention it earlier. Whenever you do go to plant, we always recommend breaking up the root ball. Well, every now and then we'll see plants that didn't make it. 9 times out of 10, they're still, you pull it out of the ground and it still looks exactly as it did in the pot. Plants really don't like that. You have to encourage the roots to go out and explore. If they're just stuck like this, they're going to stay stuck like this for quite a while, and it's detrimental to helping the plant grow and thrive. So, all right. Oh,
Question on the lavender.
yes, sir.
My lavender now is starting to, the blooms are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Can I go ahead and deadhead that, and how far down do I?
Yeah.
To spend.
Yeah, good question. The blooms on his lavender are kind of spent now. They're starting to die off. So he's asking about deadheading. And as an example with this one, let's say I was going to pluck this guy off right here. I would come right down here to this node, right in here where it starts to connect. You can pinch it off, or if you have some good sharp shears, you can just clip it off there. So, all right. Well, I'll still stick around up here if you have any more questions you want to ask, but that concludes the top 10 plants for summer heat.